Hey folks, welcome back to the Toronto Marlies Insider. With the AHL season approaching the halfway mark, we're going to take a look at how each player has performed so far and give them a grade, the usual A to F system. To be eligible for the list, a player must have played at least 10 games so far, so let's jump into it. We're going to cover the goalies and the defensemen in this video. We'll do the forwards in another one, so make sure you come back and check that one out. Starting with the returning Keith Petruzzelli. Keith has played 11 games at the time of recording this and has a record of 4-5, a GAA of 3.38 and a save percentage of .872, and he has 0 shutouts. The average GAA has been trending upward in the last couple of years across all levels of hockey, with the average GAA of the top 10 goalies last year being 2.79 in the AHL. So Keith's number is a little bit high, but he has been making some great saves and keeping us in some games. So we'll give him a C+. Moving on to our all-star goalie, Dennis Hildeby. At the time of recording this, Dennis has played 17 games and has a record of 8 wins, 6 losses with a GAA of just 2.22, a save percentage of .918, and he has 3 shutouts. This could be our easiest grade so far, A+. He's a top 5 goalie in the league and we will rely on him heavily if we want to make the playoffs and beyond. No doubt, A+. Moving on to the defensemen now. We have 7 eligible players, so let's see how they did. Starting with Topi Niemela. He leads our D in goals and assists with 6 goals, 15 assists for 21 points in 31 games played. He's been our best performing defenseman so far. He doesn't have the highest overall plus minus at 4, but he is a solid D-man and a great conduit from defence to attack, and his overall output sees him 9 points ahead of his closest defenseman. Toby gets a B+ from us. Next, we move on to one of the most improved players from last year, Tommy Miller. Last year, Tommy was okay. He was never a go-to guy for offense or a shutdown defender. He was just there. Well, that's changed this season big time. In 29 games, he still only has 1 goal and 4 assists, but offense isn't his thing. He has a plus minus of 10, which places him in the top 15 D-men in the league, and he's continuing to grow into a D-man that could easily occupy the top line. Tommy gets a B from us. Up next is another player who has shown great improvement from last year, Marshall Rafai. In 24 games played, he has 1 goal and 8 assists for 9 points. Not terrible numbers, but again, like Tommy Miller, he isn't known as a goal-scoring defender. His plus-minus of 16 has him in the top 5D in the entire AHL, and as he enters his prime, he could easily be the next Marty to make the transition to the NHL as a third or second line D. Marshall also gets a B from us. William Villeneuve gets a C- from us. In 27 games, he has 1 goal and 11 assists with a plus-minus of 3 and 24 penalty minutes. All very average numbers, but we had hoped that he would take the next step in his development from last year. But he's pretty much exactly where he was last year from a points perspective. He has developed a bit of a habit of giving the puck away, and I do get a bit nervous whenever he has the puck deep in our own zone, but a C- seems fair. Let's take a look at one of the additions this year, Max Lajoie. The former Chicago Wolves captain was an AHL All-Star last year and outperformed fellow New Marlies William Lagesson. However, Lagesson has gone on to make a run of it with the Leafs. Max was only called up for 4 games. Now personally, I think that Max is the better player and the Leafs' loss is our gain. In 23 games, he has 1 goal and 9 assists for 10 points with a plus-minus of 0. Overall, we're happy with Max. He's calm when he's on the puck and very rarely gives it away. He gets a B from us. Up next is Mikko Kokkonen. He's very similar to Ville in that he hasn't regressed, but he hasn't really made that step up to the next level either. He is a solid AHL defender, but wouldn't be pressing for an NHL call-up at this time. He has 3 goals and 5 assists for 8 points in 29 games played. He rarely puts a foot wrong, but he also rarely does anything too noticeable either. Overall, a nice tidy player who gets a C from us. Finally, we move to Matteo Petronero, who's kind of flown under the radar somewhat. He has already equalled his points total of 3 from last season. He has 1 goal and 2 assists in 23 games played this year. He has made some costly consecutive errors which may have led to him being scratched for a few games, but he does bring a grittiness to our D that we would be missing without him. We're expecting a big reply from him in the second half of the year. Overall, Matteo gets a C- so far. Let us know what you thought about our gradings in the comments below, and also if you change any of them. Don't forget to come back and check out our grading of the forwards. We'll catch you in the next one.